Welcome everyone to another preview. This is MetalCanyon, and we'll be checking out a game by Codera Software called Delta V, Rings of Saturn. This is a very interesting game that has piqued my interest a while ago when I spotted it. First of all, because of its looks, and secondly, because it deals with a part of gaming that I'm a lot of times quite interested in, and that is scientific accuracy. Obviously, this is, this is sci-fi as well, it happens in the future, but it tries to do many things as scientifically accurate as possible. Let me just reduce that a little bit, despite the fact that this hurts me, because one of the things that I truly enjoy in this game is the music. Before we begin, of course, let me just say that this is a pre-early access release. I believe it's pre-early access. It's going to be in early access on Steam in just a few days now. But yeah, whatever you see, it's not finished yet. It might change, it will improve probably, and so on and so forth. So anyway, it is a sci-fi, quite scientifically accurate game about being a miner in the year 2273, apparently. And you are on, I think this base is like on Enceladus, on the moon of Saturn. Well, one of the moons of Saturn. And because a lot of resources have been found on the moon of Saturn, on the Saturn's ring, you are one of the people that are like in a gold rush. They're rushing there, trying to get as much money as possible. And you just have enough money to buy this really old, clunky ship. Let's launch this ring dive, and then later on, I will show you everything else. So, because this is early access, there's not a lot of story involved. I was reading the update notes, and apparently in the full release somewhere late 2019, this year, there will be about 20 hours of storyline, which I think will be really quite interesting. Right now there's apparently 2.5 hours of storyline. Personally, I haven't really experienced. You can skip this, by the way. You can press and hold space, for example, to fast forward it. I think that's quite a nice option. So right now we're on autopilot. Yeah, I haven't really experienced much yet because there we go. Now we have control. Because I think I didn't go deep enough into the ring. So this is our ship. It's apparently an 80-year-old freighter with very poor technology. Well, poor-ish. You do have to bear in mind that I have pimped out my freighter since I have been spending about 7 hours maybe playing this game now. The beginnings were slightly painful because I had to learn the ins and outs of the game. And of course, trial and error. But once you get used to it, it's actually really fun. So, first things first, let's talk about the visuals of the game. Or let's talk about the head-up display of the game. It might look very busy, and you might think, oh, it's one of those things. It gives you loads of useless stuff that you never use, and it's all just fluff anyway. It's just random numbers. Well, not exactly. First of all, everything that you see, none of it is fluff. Everything is actual numbers. Everything is usable. So for example, if I want to make sure that I'm going, because this is a top-down 2D game, obviously, even though the ships are 3D, I think, especially when considering lighting and such, you can only move in these 2D planes, so you don't have to worry about 3D movements. Whoa, that was not good. What am I doing? So anyway, over here we have our Doppler lidar, which will give us a bit of a sense of what's out there. But of course, it being a lidar, it does depend on line of sight, which means that if there's a big asteroid right in front of us, we'll be completely blind in a cone like this, because it uses lasers to shoot out and then see the reflection, which means it can tell you how far something is and where it is, but it doesn't tell you what it is or, anything else, apart from if it's moving. And over here we've got our bearing, velocity, acceleration and such, which is, it can be useful, but the bearing, for example, if I want to go exactly 90 degrees like this, there we go. Now I know that I'm going exactly 90 degrees to the right. But of course I do have to avoid these asteroids, because I'm going to try to get, here is my depth, I'm going to try to get 10 kilometers minimum into the actual ring of Saturn. That's where more of the asteroids start. And there's my acceleration, which at the moment I don't really think does anything. Maybe later on, according to some of the autopilot descriptions with comfort zones and such, maybe later on you will have limits to acceleration you can do until you pass out, perhaps. And there's your velocity, which is quite important when you're going in and out of the ring. I find that about 100 meters per second is, you know, it's a good thing. It's a good speed to get into the ring, but it can be quite dangerous. So now that I'm talking and not really paying full attention, there we go, I will have to be very careful what I do, because crashing into asteroids is an easy task, especially when you get deeper into the ring. So I'm just placing myself in a way. Oh, there we go. I'll be crashing into something here. That's not good. Full power. Ooh. Okay. So I was using my RCS and my main engine there just to get to a stop. That's why you have to be very careful. Crashing in this game is very easy. Anyway, let's continue. So all of this is useful. Down here we have the cargo hold. You might think, what the heck is that? Now, at first I was confused. What is that? Why is it looking like that? And then when you start collecting minerals, you see that you can actually see them inside here. I also have installed some baffles on my ship, which means that it's much less easy to lose cargo, because when you open up your ship's mouth like this, I'll call it a mouth, you are in fact opening up the entire area down here. And if you're decelerating, everything of course will be pushed up to the front of the ship. Remember, scientifically accurate. And because this ship is so old and I assume cheap, it doesn't really have, at the start, any ways of preventing that. So at the start I was a little bit confused why I was, well, not confused, I was a little bit annoyed that I was losing stuff, but you quickly get used to the fact that you shouldn't really be decelerating with your mouth open. And later on, there was, oops, wrong button. The developer has added these baffles, which you can buy in the upgrades. So anyway, we're about 12 kilometers in. Let's start doing stuff. So anyway, yeah. So what I can understand here is this is some kind of a mass spectrometer system which samples the interior of the ship constantly. And I guess it does know that, I mean, the computer knows that the alloys of the inside of the ship are just the ship, so it doesn't actually count it as cargo. Oh no, that's another ship. Oh no, 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 no. I don't like that. Get out of here. I'll get more, I'll get to that later, but I do not want to, oh, what? There's another miner. I do not want to be there. I do not want it to follow me. This is very... Oof. So because... Oh, darn it. Ouch. That was not good. That could have been bad. And if you've seen some choppiness here, that is unfortunately due to my recording software. I was not expecting that. The game otherwise runs perfectly for me, but that choppiness was down to the recording software. Let's get out of here. So, this is some kind of a mass spectrometer system, I'm assuming. It'll show you what kind of minerals you have in your cargo hold and where they are. This is an upgrade I just recently did. I haven't tested it out yet. This remote scanner should be scanning the asteroids and telling you the composition. And over here we have our systems, which we can open up like this. These are all your system. The RCS, the main engine, the onboard computer, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's mine these systems. I do have a mining laser equipped, which is a very, very expensive alternative to the mass drivers you start with. So, let's see. If I get closer, will it scan them? Remote scanner? Do I have to... Oh! Oh! Yeah, my RCS system there has done that. Well, let's use the laser. There we go. All right, so we've got some beryllium, I believe, here. Let's try to get it. Nom. Nom. And there is the beryllium now. It's already getting detected. It's not past the baffles yet because I did have to decelerate there. Over down here we have the status of our ship. What RCS thrusters are getting used. What's the status and temperature of our nuclear reactor? What's the status of the capacitor? And how much propellant we have. Ooh, there's a ship there, I think. This is the visual feed of where you are in the ring, how deep you are, and there's some other stuff like the mass, how much propellant you have left, total ship mass, how much power supply you have, what's the ultracapacitor status. We have 1 gigajoule at the moment. What's the reactor temperature? Because that can overheat as well and get damaged. And everything that gets damaged, you can sometimes jury rig on the spot with... let me just come to a complete stop. With this. So if something does get damaged, you can try to repair it and get it to fully green status, which means normal. You get it to, if it's yellow, it's damaged but functional. If it's red, it's non-operational. And let me tell you, it's very easy to get damaged. Let's use the laser. Now, one of the things I really do enjoy here, apart from the whole thing that you can, you know, accelerate infinitely pretty much, although I think autopilot will stop you, which is scientifically accurate that you can, you know, accelerate infinitely. Well, up to a point, of course, because you cannot accelerate to see. But I like the fact that you cannot see the laser beam unless there's, you know, unless there is something in the way, like dust, which illuminates the laser beam. I really do enjoy that. There's quite a few pieces we have here. Well, let's try to get this one. Not exactly sure what it is. Nom. Now remember, when you close the mouth, that doesn't mean yet that whatever you've picked up isn't there successfully. It might still be in the throat, so to speak. So you do need to accelerate a little bit just to push it back down into the ship, into the, you know, past the gullet. Okay, gotta be careful here. The main thing I find about this game, there we go, my RCS, by the way, which I've upgraded, is so powerful. This is the hungry version of the RCS. I'll show you that in the shop later. But this is the very hungry version, and it has a lot of power, performance, and in fact, it has so much power, that you can actually destroy asteroids quite easily with it, which I find very useful. Before I got the laser, I found that my main way, look at that, we've got it in the jaw, my main way of dealing with this, there we go, I do apologize about the choppiness, both to the developer that might be watching this, as to all of you viewers, but this is my recording software. Like I said, the game runs, blah, blah, no, bye, I'm out of here. Okay, the story of why I'm running away from these guys. I don't quite understand the story. There's, at the moment, no story at the beginning as far as I can see. You start a new game and it starts you off with a ring dive. But from what I can see is these are other miners trying to make their fortune in the Saturn's rings. However, there's another one there. Oh, why are there so many this time? No, go away. And the reason why I'm running away from all of them... Yep, he doesn't like us. You want some? You want some of my laser? Here, enjoy my laser. There we go. I think he's given up. That's the beauty of this laser. I have a dual capacitor installed and a powerful enough reactor that I can use it almost indefinitely. Yeah, and the reason why I'm running away is you saw right there. A lot of them want to murder you for some reason. I don't exactly know what the logic behind that is. One of my assumptions was that this is a completely lawless, uncontrolled... Oh, he's back. Or is that a different one? Sometimes they just want to look at you and what you're doing. See? Now he's not interested anymore. and some of them want to attack you. So what I'm thinking is this is a lawless area, and everyone can do whatever they want to, and they don't like competition, so they just chase you down and shoot you. And on the other hand, they might be some sort of pirates in old mining ships, trying to get some money, but also trying to destroy other miners. So I'm not really sure what the story with that is. Suffice to say, I am scared of any... Oh, missed that one. I'm scared of any blips on the LiDAR like this. Let me get that beryllium. I want to get this beryllium though, but I have to be careful going at this speed. Well, that was just... Yeah, I'm not being very good at this. Come on. Numb. There we go. My military grade autopilot is telling me that I will be impacting something there. Where's that other beryllium? There it is. Beryllium seems to be the mineral of choice when you want to make money. Although it does tend to have large chunks of ice, because of course a lot of this ring is ice. So water is not very expensive, and you should really rely on it to sell that. So yeah, stay away from the other miners. They seem to be trouble more often than not. But now that I do have one laser, I can get two more, one on each side. They do seem to back away quite quickly, which is good. And let me tell you, if they do damage you, it's kind of weird. I believe you cannot really get destroyed in this game, because the ships that you pilot are extraordinarily durable. At least as far as the developer has said. They are so durable that the pilot would be splattered in the cockpit far more quickly than the ship would explode. What can get damaged are all these systems, the thrusters, the reactor, the capacitors, and so on and so forth, the computer, and they're damaged very easily. So if I bump into an asteroid at the incorrect angle, so with one of these sides where the thrusters are, you can get them damaged very quickly. So then you have a choice. Either you've damaged them just slightly, and you can try to jury-rig them to make them operational again. And if you're very lucky, they've been only slightly damaged where they will be fully operational. And if you're not so lucky, they will be not working as they should, which means that your maneuvering will be very, very limited. So for example, if one of these left, one of these port thrusters gets damaged, I will suddenly not be able to strafe, or when I will be strafing, only the aft one will be firing, which means that I will be rotating every time I try to strafe. So like I said, it's scientifically trying to be accurate, and that's pretty cool. What I really also enjoy about this game is the lighting. You can see that all this lighting, this is not just a static image of an asteroid. It's lit beautifully. Oops. It's lit beautifully by the sun on one side, you can see here. By my own lights, I'm not really sure where the yellow is coming from. That's probably something story. You see that? Look at that. Like, I'm lighting it up. And of course, if I use the laser, it also gives off a blue tinge like this, because it's the reflection of the laser. I think that's absolutely brilliant. The lighting in this game is beautiful. And once you realize that the asteroids aren't really, 2D. They do appear 2D, but they're not really, I don't think. Whoa. What's going on? Oh, that's probably warning me about impending collision with this. The one thing I think could be improved is when these asteroids... Whoa. Oh, I've been using too much energy. I didn't realize I've used up so much of my ultra capacitor. There we go. Yeah, because I was taking apart a rather big asteroid. Let's get this. Oh, I still have lots of stuff in my mouth. Come on. Get into my belly. I'm bigger than you, higher up on the food chain, and so on. Okay, let's try to accelerate here, because this isn't going down. Nom. Come on. Nom. I guess we're almost full, even though we still have about 36 cubic meters left. So anyway, let's get out of here. And let's leave for Enceladus. I'm going to try to accelerate to about 100 meters per second, but I do have to be very, very careful. Repairs can get very expensive very quickly as you damage components. And much more expensive, several times more expensive, if you actually damage them beyond repair, where you have to replace the entire module. It can get into the tens of thousands, and you got to remember that from each run like this, you'll probably, if it's a very good run, you'll probably bring about 40 to 50,000, I think, back credits. So yeah, it can cripple you financially if you are not careful enough. Operating the ship is done with a keyboard. Settings, controls. So here's the controls. This is a ship. So this is how you control it. Q and E. You can rebind all of these, by the way, which is very nice. Q and E will rotate the ship, and D is strafing. W and S is obviously forward, and I mean, well, this would be reverse, and this would be forward thrusters. Well, not thrusters, but forward movement, because if you use S, it's the rear thrusters, which means you'll move forward. Shift is the main engine, and then you've got up, down, left, right. What? Wait, what? Oh, this is okay. Yeah, that's the autopilot. Personally, I never really use the autopilot except X, which means that it comes to a complete stop, which is kind of useful sometimes. But yeah, personally, I like to just pilot my ship manually, which does save on fuel, well, propellant. And I don't know. At the beginning, it might be quite difficult to do so, but you get used to it quite quickly. You just have to be careful. And the main thing about this game, you have to be patient. You cannot rush through things, because you will start bumping into asteroids and destroying your thrusters. And let me tell you, it can get very... Why did I use that much? Well, probably because I'm babbling and not thinking. Usually I have almost a third of propellant left when I'm done with a run, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you have to be careful. You have to be patient in this game. 100 meters per second. There we go. And I want heading 270 degrees. There we go. So we're going straight for the, well, out of the ring. And once we reach 0 kilometers, depth will be engaging autopilot automatically to get back to Enceladus. So there we go. You can also, there's another miner. Hello. I'm getting out of here. Bye. There we go. Now the autopilot is going to engage. See, they're very inquisitive, these other guys, and it's kind of creepy. I also have to mention the music. You've heard a little bit of combat music in the game. I love the music. It's very sort of... The organs that are playing are beautiful. It gives you a feeling of loneliness, but also of you know, discovery. And it seamlessly transitions into creepy music, which I love, and into combat music, which is also very good. So here we go. We've gotten all of this. Here are the prices if we were to sell them right now. There's a wolfram, we got some vanadium. I don't remember picking that up before. Some platinum, palladium, water, iron, and beryllium. Let's put all this into storage, and we'll see the market prices and what we'll be selling. Yeah, but I love the music in this game. You can also meet some larger mining ships, which are probably a lot more dangerous if they start shooting at you. But I haven't really found anything story related apart from a beacon, which I didn't really know what to do with. There was a beacon and I couldn't swallow it, so to speak, with my ship. So I'm not really sure what that's all about, but you have to be aware that the deepest I ever went into the ring was probably about 15 kilometers. So I'm assuming you have to get deeper into the ring. But what I found was that I could just find all of these, especially beryllium, at the outskirts. So I didn't really see a point of going deeper into the ring. I'm sure there will be some incentives to go in there as the game develops. And by the way, I just wanted to mention, let's sell 7 units or 7 tons of water, which is very cheap, as you can see. There's practically no money gained from this. The developer does update the game very, very often. It's like every few days, which I think is pretty fantastic. So the mineral market might look a little bit confusing, and I was confused at first. I thought that these little things is where the market prices are currently, but this is only, I think, I'm not really sure. I've sold things more often than this, and they only appear here. Oh, this is probably the maximum. Oh, okay, I get it now. This is the maximum and the lowest price the mineral has ever been on the market. And I think this on the right is where the prices are at the moment. I think this will have to change a little bit because right now it's covered by the text. So we're not selling the beryllium because it's been above market average for a long time, and now it's about parity. I'm not selling that. I'm not selling my iron either. Not selling palladium. Not selling platinum either. Wow, look, it went to a all-time low there. Vanadium, no. I'm not selling anything at the moment. Prices aren't very good. That's why you put it in storage and then sell it later. So let's go to the repairs. So here's all of my modules. You can see that my engine is a little bit aware, 9%. That's as you use it. This thruster was damaged. It's misaligned by 13% because I bumped into an asteroid a while ago. It was only a light bump, fortunately, so I could bring it back up to full operation. And I cannot even fix it. It's at 86% integrity at the moment. But, you know, you can replace it for... So this is what I don't quite understand. It's 1,000 Euro, I guess, per 1 hour. I'm not really sure what that means. That means you have to pay them 1,000 per hour? I don't know. Or it's 1,000 per thruster. Either way, it can get very, very, very expensive when you're talking about the computer, the nuclear reactor, the mining laser, and so on. And I don't think the mining laser can get damaged at all. And there's the adrenaline booster, which I didn't show you. It simply slows down time, so you get more time to react for maneuvers and such. So let's go to tuning. This was something of a recent update in the game. You can tune your ship to tell it what it can do. So autopilot, relative velocity, you can tell how fast the autopilot is allowed to move on its own. But because I don't use autopilot, that doesn't really matter for me. You've got a proximity alert for the autopilot. This is quite useful because I've got a very advanced autopilot at the moment. I can, you know, set it to more, to 200 meters, for example, to get more time to react. And there's the microseismic scanner focus, which I just upgraded last time, and I wasn't really using in this mission much. I wasn't looking at it. I'm not really sure what exactly the focus does. It does tell you. You can adjust the area that it's probed, so I'm assuming it'll, you know, probe a larger area, but I don't know what that does mean in practice. And there's the target temperature of the nuclear reactor you can see down here. And that's that red line. So all of these lines, by the way, they all mean something. The red one is the temperature. The green one is the... I think the yellow one is the power usage, and the green one is the power availability. So the red one, if I increase it, that's a temperature. And power availability is through the roof at the moment. And of course, it says that higher temperature results better thermal and electrical performance at risk of causing turbine galling and meltdown. So you can see 4,000 is already in the yellow, so I like to keep it at around 3,600 Kelvin. Anyway, let's go to upgrades, which is the most interesting part, I suppose. This is where you can upgrade your stuff like the mass driver, which you start with, which shoots metal slugs. Come on. He's about to shoot, and... Come on. You're not gonna shoot? Never mind. That's a bit weird. Anyway, there's also a microwave emitter, which has a beautiful, beautiful effect on asteroids. I really do suggest you use that. But it does take a long time to do anything. The mass driver is a much quicker option. I did find that the mass driver does seem to attract attention from the other miners, though, because there are explosions in the asteroids going on. It does seem that it attracts them, so I'm not a fan of that. I like the mining laser. Quite a lot of power and doesn't use ammunition. So then you've got the left low stress and right low stress hardpoint, which means you can put more lasers on there. Or perhaps, a mass driver, which... Oh, it is shooting, see? I think, anyway. You've got the kinetic ammunition, which I don't need now, because I don't use mass drivers. You've got propellant tanks, which I've upgraded to the long-range propellant tank, which gives you 80 tons of propellant, which is a lot. You have to remember, though, because this is scientifically accurate. Look, compare the movements of the ship here to movements of the ship with this propellant. Obviously, because I'm using very powerful RCS thrusters, there's not a lot of change, but if you compare this with the biggest tank, look, you see this? It's a lot slower because the mass of the ship is so much. It's 231 tons. And of course going down very quickly because we were using propellant. So I do enjoy that. The lighter you get, the more maneuverable you get in a mission. There's the thrusters. I have these nuclear ones equipped, which are very hungry, but very powerful, 600 kilonewtons. And then you've got, an economic one, a more powerful one, but it's also prone to excessive wear. And the normal one you start with. Look at this. With my propellant tank and everything else I have equipped, this is the rate of turning with the normal RCS. Not very good. And then you've got ultra capacitors, the power plant, which I have not upgraded yet. The cargo bay, this was something new. Without the baffles, you can lose your cargo, like I said. With the baffles, it's a lot nicer, but of course, they are not foolproof. So if you have stuff in the gullet, so to speak, you can still lose it, like I did. And there's the autopilots. Without an autopilot, obviously, there's nothing. And the basic autopilot just allows you to maneuver a little bit. The adaptive autopilot gives you like this interesting lighter look of where things are in the middle. I know that doesn't make sense, but a military grade one is really nice because it actually shows you impending collisions and how to avoid them. That's really nice. And there's a microseismic drone I used, which I still haven't really, I bought, which I still haven't really used. Anyway, the developer is promising a lot of different upgrades throughout the development of the game, which I'm really quite chuffed about because I love this. And there's also stuff that's not implemented yet. Like the dealer, I'm assuming that's going to be for new ships, but I'm not sure. And crew, which I'm also not sure what that's going to do about the whole mechanics of the game. But anyway, I really, really, really love this game. It is beautiful. The music is beautiful. It plays fun. Right now, because I didn't get too far into the asteroids, I feel I didn't really get any of the story, but I was too afraid to go in there because a couple of times I got burned by the other miners when I went deeper, and I was just financially ruined trying to fix everything. I went into like minus 120,000 euro credits or something. It was pretty bad. So yeah. Right now it doesn't cost anything to launch a ring dive. You don't have to pay for propellant, which I have a feeling is going to change. So right now there's almost no incentive to go deeper into the ring. Anyway, I know I've babbled a lot in this preview. I do apologize, but this, like I said, this is a game for patient gamers, and for gamers that do like a bit of scientific accuracy, even if that means some annoyance, for example, like losing your cargo or bumping into asteroids because you cannot just quickly stop on a dime. It's very, very, very interesting, and I love the visual look. I already said that, but the look of the ships, this reactor area. By the way, if the reactor is off, let me show you that. There, look at that. It's cold and quiet. Look, and then it's slowly, as it heats up, 2,500 Kelvin, 3,000 Kelvin, it starts glowing. That's so cool. I love that. And by the way, there's also a sound effect that you can hear the turbine spooling up as it goes up to 4,000 Kelvin and more. I love that. I actually wish that that the RCS were a lot quieter, because especially this nuclear RCS that I have is very loud, and that's pretty much all you can hear almost. I would love to hear more of the other sounds of the ship, like you're in the cockpit itself, maybe some computer stuff, fans and so on. I think that would be great. But yeah, I love where this game is going. So here's the most important question. Would I suggest you buy it in early access? I will give you a very cautionary yes, and I will explain why it's cautionary. Cautionary because it's sort of a niche game. It's not a get rich quick and get satisfaction quick, I suppose, because like I said, it does require a bit of skill maneuvering the ship, and it does require you to enjoy this whole scientific aspect, even though you don't really have to know anything much about science at all to still enjoy this game and buy upgrades and so on and so forth. But you have to be mindful about power consumption, mass, and so on and so forth. And, you know, considering how often the developer updates this, it is literally, if you check the news of updates, it's literally every few days. There's like 2 updates a week almost sometimes. And I think that's brilliant. So I would say yes. If you like the look, if you like the feel, get it. This is such a brilliant, already polished game that I'm so looking forward to what else will be available with the updates. And I have to go deeper into the ring and see what mysteries I can find there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Again, I apologize about babbling so much in these menus, but, well, that's how it is. The links are down below in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.